Good morning! Spring is almost upon us. It's February, but it's still cold though. So, no one wants to be working outside in the cold and the frost and the freezing cold. So, luckily, well, not luckily in a way, but luckily I've been given this little job, a little bit of a stone carving. So, over Christmas I've been working on a client's property, just doing some landscaping and stuff, and unfortunately, his mother passed in that period. So, as like a nice memorial to the lady's memory, the client's been down to one of her favourite walks down by a river, and he's found like a pebble, a large pebble for her to have engraved. So, what we're going to do is, well, what we've done is I've carved Mum's wall into the stone, and then the ongoing job that we're doing in the back of the house is building like a little garden wall for her. We're going to set it into it just like a nice little memory. So so what we've got here, let's have a look. Fortunately you can't see because of technology, everything's backwards, but see this little boulder that we picked out the river, and I've carved into it Mum's wall. So this is it's going to last way longer than the grandchildren or even the great grandchildren. I suppose at that point, you know, the lady's legacy is long forgotten, but there's a memory there for other folk to see. It's quite a nice lasting tribute. So the way stone works, if you will, is as it's forged in the bowels of the earth under sedimentation or igneous rock formation. There's pores in the stone. Over time and exposure to elements, these pores close up, and that causes the stone to become a lot harder, which is fine. But with hardness comes brittleness. So as I'm chipping away at the stone, it's quite a lot trickier to carve old stone, if you will, than new stone. I mean, fair enough, these stones are like 400, 500 million year old. But when those pores close up, it makes things look quite a bit trickier and more challenging for the carver. So as you can see, let's get a bit of heads on. So we've carved Mum's wall into it. So what we do is, luckily this stone's like nice and flat, so it gives me like a nice flat area to draw what I want to carve. So a little bit of calligraphy is involved. Maybe a couple of hours it took to draw this on in pencil before I actually start carving. So once the template's in place, then we can set to with the bits of carving. So what we've got here is my little toolkit of carving chisels. Now these, yeah, you probably won't be able to see, but let's see. You see on the end, on those tips, that's tungsten carbide on the edge there, which is a lot harder than normal steel, which is what the rest of the chisel's made out of. Now the tungsten carbide cuts through stone like a knife through butter, and on a newly quarried stone, it's so easy just to fire the lettering into the stone. But because this is old stone, if you will, it gets quite tricky because the stone's so hard to get a nice clean edge onto the stone. So what we do is let's have a look at this L here. So what I'll do is I'll carve the outline of that stone just to make myself a mark, just something to work to. Then we'll use the smaller chisels. Where are you? That's my favourite one. So what's that? That's probably about 10mm is that. So then I'll use the 10mm chisel to give me a rough outline of how wide each letter wants to be. So then, as you can see here, let's get a bit of light on the situation. There we are. So what I'll do is I'll carve an initial line in the middle of the letter, and then from that I can work either side of that and just like quietly just work away at the stone. So once we've bust through this surface, like maybe 2 or 3mm of the stone with the pores that have closed up, it get into the softer stone, then it's a lot easier to carve. So nowadays, a lot of stone carving and memorials is done on like a CNC machine, and you can always tell this because when you look at the lettering, you're left with like a round sort of bevel in the stone, whereas like when you've hand carved the stone, you're left with like, let's see, come here, you're left with like that right angle down into the stone. So you can see there's like a V groove. Now the V grooves are like better for the lettering really, because we've not left with any sharp edges here that can spelch off. Say if some clumsy buggers putting this stone into the wall, bashes it about, if we're left with some clean sharp edges, they'll bust off. And when we've got that 90-degree angle in the stone, it resists weathering a lot better. So this'll last for a long time to come with this stone. But I thought it's just like a nice little sentiment was that. You know, the client came to me and he's like, oh, you know, I want to get something carved into the stone. So I'm like, well, I do bits of stone carving. I've done a few memorials and just little like timepieces that can, you know, someone can have a look and appreciate it in like 100 years to come. They don't know who's carved it, but that's the joy of what I do really. I kind of like leave stuff for other people to admire and appreciate. Yeah, it's anonymous. You know, no one knows Danny Porter carved this, which is fine with me. It's just like a lasting memory for other people to admire. So yeah, so hopefully the client will be impressed with the progress of this, and it'll be a nice lasting tribute for his mother who sadly passed. So yeah, but I mean, if you fancy having a go at a bit of stone carving, you don't need all fancy tungsten carbide chisels because they cost a bloody fortune to them. But they'll last me forever as long as I'm careful with them, you know, and you know, I can carve plenty more stones. So yeah, there we are. So enjoy your day, whatever you get up to. I'll see you later now. Goodbye.